Imagine waking up to a world where the map of the Middle East has literally changed overnight. In Tehran, the unthinkable is happening. The portraits of the supreme leader are coming down, not just from a few walls, but from every government building in the country. The regime that held Iran in an iron grip for nearly half a century, the regime of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is fracturing in real time. This isn't just a protest, it is the moment of collapse. If the Iranian Revolution of 2026 actually succeeds, what happens the morning after? Is it the birth of a new democracy or the beginning of a terrifying regional power vacuum? Today, we're diving into the high-stakes reality of a post-Ayatollah world. Welcome to The Briefing. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the what-if scenario that keeps every world leader awake at night. We've seen the headlines throughout late 2025 and into this year, the hyperinflation, the 12-day war that shattered the myth of Iranian invincibility, and the nationwide strikes that finally broke the back of the security forces. In the next few minutes, we're going to map out the three most likely paths for Iran: the rise of the military strongman, the chaos of the axis of resistance, and the long, hard road to a secular democracy. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why the fall of Tehran might be the most significant geopolitical event of our century. So, let's get into the first big question. Who actually takes the keys to the city? When a regime like the Islamic Republic fractures, it rarely vanishes into thin air. The most organized force remaining is the Islamic Revolutionary Corps, the IRGC. While the clerics might be fleeing, the generals still have the guns. We could see a Napoleonic moment. A high-ranking military officer steps forward, ditches the turban for a uniform, and declares himself the savior of the nation. This would be an Iran as Turkey or Iran as Russia model, a transition from a theocracy to a nationalist military state. It's not exactly the freedom the protesters are dying for, but for a world terrified of a civil war, it might be the only version of stability on the table. Now, pause for a second and think about the sheer scale of this change. It's a lot to take in, right? If you're finding this deep dive into the 2026 crisis valuable, do us a quick favor. Hit that follow button or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us keep bringing these deep dive scenarios to life. Back to the fallout. The second major impact isn't inside Iran, it's outside. For decades, Tehran has been the bank and the armory for groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and militias in Iraq. If the regime in Tehran falls, these groups become geopolitical orphans overnight. No more missiles, no more cash, no more satellite intelligence. While that sounds like a win for peace, the immediate reality could be pure chaos. Without their primary benefactor, these groups might lash out in desperation or trigger local civil wars to maintain their own power. The axis of resistance wouldn't just disappear, it would shatter into a dozen smaller, more unpredictable pieces. But let's look at the third and most hopeful scenario, the Vision Iran transition. There are plans already in place by opposition councils for a 24 to 36-month transitional period. This would involve a secular decision council, the legalization of political parties, and eventually a referendum on a new constitution. Iran has incredible human capital, doctors, engineers, and a Gen Z population that is more connected to the global West than any of their neighbors. If they can manage to keep the lights on and the water running, a democratic Iran would become the most powerful economic engine in the region. Imagine an Iran that exports technology and culture instead of drones and ideology. Of course, the road is paved with landmines. There's the risk of ethnic separatism in the border regions, and the terrifying question of what happens to the nuclear program during the transition. Who guards the silos when the government is changing? This is why the international community can't just be spectators. A successful 2026 revolution requires a delicate balance. The world must support the people without making it look like a foreign coup. To wrap things up, let's look at the TLDR of a post-Khamenei world. First, the collapse of the theocracy would likely lead to a temporary military-led order to prevent total anarchy. Second, the Middle East would face a massive security reset as proxy groups lose their funding. And third, the ultimate success of the revolution depends on whether the Iranian people can build a bridge from their glorious history to a secular, modern future. It is a moment of extreme danger, but also extreme possibility. The 1979 revolution changed the world in ways we are still feeling today. The 2026 revolution might just be the event that finally closes that chapter and starts a new one. Thank you for spending your time with us today. This is a complex, fast-moving story, and we'll be here to break it down as it unfolds. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.